What's going on, guys? I'm Watch JR Go, and today we are here in beautiful Telluride, Colorado. Look at the scenery, and we're gonna talk about why the Gen 1 Volt is the most economical car of all time, possibly. This is my 2012 Chevy Volt. It's a premium package. It has leather, it has everything but navigation, but OnStar offers turn-by-turn in the center screen, so you do kind of have navigation anyway. I bought this car with roughly 50,000 miles. Now it has 75,000 miles, so I guess this is the ultimate long-term review. So why is the first Gen Volt the most economical car of all time to own? I'm gonna tell you. Really, it just starts with ownership costs. It probably cost me $2 to $3 a day to own and drive this car. That's insurance, property tax, and charging the car. It's about $1 a day in Kansas to charge the car. Our kilowatt hour rate is between 10 and 12 cents an hour, and it takes roughly 10 kilowatts to charge the Volt. My daily commute is about 40 miles, which is one charge, so it works out perfectly. That's $1 to $2 maximum to charge the car every day. Insurance is about $1 a day. Property tax is probably $1 a day. I don't know, I think it's about $360 a year. Kansas has property tax on our cars. So you might be thinking, what about maintenance? Well, the only maintenance I have ever done to the Volt in the 2-something years I've owned it, 25,000 to 36,000 miles, I think it's closer to 30,000 miles. I've changed the oil one time, Mobil 1, Wix filter, and I've replaced the tires one time. That was $1,000 for the Goodyear Comforted Touring, which is the replacement for the OEM tires. They're quiet, they work well, they work in the water. That's all you want out of a daily driver. So let's open the hood. All the other maintenance that's needed done to this car has been performed by the factory under the insane Voltec warranty. Quite a bit of the drivetrain is actually covered by the Voltec warranty. The first thing that happened when I got the car, well, let's get these leaves out here. Perfect, now my engine bay is clean, even though it's nice and dirty. The first thing that happened was the charging port died, which is a TSB, and they replaced that like the second day I owned the car. And the second thing that happened was the battery coolant reservoir dumped all of its coolant out. And these are separate reservoirs here. This one is for the car's actual cooling system, the internal combustion engine. And then this half of the coolant reservoir is the battery cooling. And the battery coolant reservoir has this lock on it there to try to prevent you from removing the cap, because they don't want you changing the coolant fill. Because if the coolant starts leaking into the battery and you keep filling it up, the battery coolant could be leaking into the lithium battery, and if it gets into a cell, it causes an explosion. So you don't want that, and it does throw a check engine light when the coolant goes low and tells you to take it to the dealer. So it's been to the shop 3 times under the Voltec warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile. That is a crazy warranty. This car is super old. They keep fixing everything for free. So I am incredibly happy with the car as long as GM keeps taking care of it. So under warranty, they've replaced the charge port, the battery cooling reservoir, and everything that had to do with that, refilled the coolant for me, and they also replaced the battery contactor recently. The car's been drivable through every single one of those. You just can't charge it when they break. Okay, let's move on to the rest of this car. Adding to why the Volt is so economical to own, I paid $15,000 for the car. And honestly, it may have been less than that, but I traded my Pontiac Grand Prix GXP for it, which has the LS4 in it and drank gas. I think I bought this car right after Rob Ferretti bought his, because I'd been looking at them for a long time, and I just kept specking out $50,000 Gen 2 Volts. I really wanted one just for the technology. You know I love technology. So while I was specking out brand new ones, I ended up looking for used ones. I saw this one in town, went and drove it, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that right now. As I said, since then it's been super cheap to own. It's great to drive. The suspension feels pretty solid for a daily driver. It is based on the Chevy Cruise platform, so don't expect world-class handling, but it does have a lot of changes from that. The weight's down low, very low, as the battery's in the back between the seats and down the center, so you can throw it into a corner pretty quickly if you expect the body roll. The back seats are honestly just about perfect to haul 4 people around in. They're not heated like the Gen 2 Volt seats are. As far as cargo room, this thing's incredible. We have stacked so much junk in the Volt over the years I've owned it. The seats flip down, it's the size of a truck. Right now we've got the one wheel, the boosted board, 2 carry-on bags, 2 backpacks, the one wheel box, everything we picked up here in Telluride, and you can just shove it all in here and stack it all the way up to the glass, and it will just keep holding stuff. We've never actually filled the car all the way up, even with a full load of tools and wrap material all the way to the roof almost. One of my favorite things about the Volt, you know everybody loved the Honda CRX. I think we all grew up loving it. It has the back glass you can see through halfway through the hatch. Super cool. You can actually see out of it. It's kind of usable. And really the car just looks good. All of the lights are LEDs except for the headlights, and let's get in here and take it for a drive. So you're watching this and you're like, well, that all sounds amazing. I really want to own a Volt now. Here's a couple things to watch out for that don't really matter at all and probably shouldn't deter you from buying a Volt. Volts didn't get standard backup cameras till 2013. This is a 12, it doesn't have it. Gen 2's got rear heated seats because the climate control is terrible, and I'll elaborate on that more in a second. But they added rear heated seats, and it has auto front heated seats because they don't want you using the heat because of how much energy it costs to use the heater. And when I say the climate control is terrible, it's not that bad. The AC compressor is high voltage DC. It's a DC motor directly coupled to the compressor, and it works amazing. The air conditioning in this car, always great. The problem is the electronics in the auto climate during fall and spring have no clue what to do. So it'll sit there and turn on the AC, and then it'll turn on the heat, and it'll turn on the AC, and it actually shows you this digitally on the dash if you're on the climate screen. And eventually you learn to ignore the climate screen forever because it's really annoying watching the AC turn on when it's 36 degrees outside. I get that you need a little bit of AC for defrost in the wintertime, but this thing is terrible about it. The heater's great in the wintertime when it's actually cold, but getting the car to turn the heater on is incredibly tricky. Just to make it work correctly, you'll end up turning the heat up to like 80, 85 degrees when it's not cold at all outside, or if you need AC, you'll end up turning the AC way down so you can make it do what you want. Electric cars hate the wintertime. You need to keep the batteries pretty warm to keep the range up, and the range goes down significantly in the winter. I think it's about 23 miles once it gets cold. I guess that's not as bad as the Model S though, because if you want to do a Ludicrous Plus launch and it's wintertime, you have to do a 30-minute drive cycle or preheat the battery with electric heaters just to make it output enough current to launch the car. I should probably mention gas mileage, even though my average commute only runs the gas engine for maybe 5 minutes a day maximum. That's also why the oil life is close to 2 years per oil change on this car, and I just follow the oil life indicators because GM knows pretty well when you need to change the oil. I know everyone's going to complain in the comments being like, oh, 3 months, 3,000 miles. More like 20,000 miles per oil change. It takes about 4 hours to charge the car on my 220 volt 30 amp circuit. It takes about 8 hours if you're using the 120 volt charger that comes with the car. Honestly, I think that's really annoying, and I've only used that charger one time. I'll show you the current gas mileage on this trip to Telluride, and my lifetime gas mileage has gone down very far since it hasn't been charged for 5 days. You can see we used 30 gallons of fuel, and that's from Kansas to Telluride, and we're about halfway back to Wichita now. That's about $90 of gas total, averaging that 36.5 miles per gallon, and gas prices around here are $3 on average. So it costs less than $100 to drive 12 hours through the mountains and all the way back to Wichita. What are you doing over there? Oh, there's the Fiat Miata right there, you know? The Miata, what do they call that? The Fiata. My lifetime gas mileage usually hovers between 85 and 89 miles per gallon, but it's down to 75.3 because this trip has been running on gas almost the entire time. I'm excited to get it back home, get it on the charger, and start cranking that gas mileage back up. Like Lil Dicky says, saving me that money. The Volt does have cool animations like this. I'll wrap this up by saying my Gen 1 Volt has been great. I'm shopping for Gen 2 Volts now. I'm excited for the new one, mostly because I'm resetting that 10-year, 100,000 mile Voltec powertrain warranty. Of course, the rest of the car goes out of warranty pretty quickly, but the rest of the car doesn't matter too much because the majority of the powertrain is part of the Voltec system. So ask yourself, would you rather have Starbucks every day, or would you rather drive a Chevy Volt? Because they're probably the same price, and if you're driving something else, you can probably afford twice the Starbucks instead of driving that other car. Tell me if you'd buy a Volt in the comments below. Telluride, Cars and Colors, it has been great. And that said, please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you guys next time. We're just driving down the highway through Colorado and taking in these awesome views, and all of a sudden, artwork, a yellow NSX. Look at that. Would you just look at it? Okay, ignore the bad joke. But that is beautiful. It really looks great in yellow. I didn't think it would.
It's great with the trees.
Yeah, it matches the Aspens, and every other NSX in the world is like red, black, and silver, so it's pretty crazy to see.
off-road review.
Yeah.
We're gonna take it to Bridalveil. Like,
is the Chevy Volt the best off-roading vehicle you could possibly buy for $15,000?